Superman Unlimited, issue 6, Dan Slott rating with RAFAEL, ALBUQUERQUE, and Mike Norton on the art. So yeah, this is the second half of the two-parter. Superman's in the Kryptonite Cave. Lois is down there as well. Kryptonite King is threatening her, wants rid of her because she witnessed his evil doings, and we continue from there. And it was mostly a solid wrap-up to all that stuff. This one felt more like it was a lot of action than it was the character intrigue or the overall world building. Obviously, there's one big thing that happens by the end that, is a completely new thing they've introduced here, which is Superman eventually drops that sunstone, and he immediately realizes, oh shit, we have to evacuate this part of the city because a kryptonite fortress is about to spawn out of the ground. So that happens.
And that was a pretty good sequence too, because it's him going around with his gold, right? He's still gold at that point.
No, he's not. No, he's just. I think he just lost it, so he's got no powers at that point.
That's right. Right. So he's going around trying to evacuate people, and people are like, "Oh man, look, it's Superman!" And he's still doing the Superman thing of greeting them, but it's like, guys, we got to move. There's a whole lot going on. Which I really enjoy that ticking clock of the gold thing, right? Because he gets exposed in the cave, and then he needs to, he has to go gold, and he only has the 119 seconds, right? And he starts taking out the Cobra agents that were there, or Cobra cult members. I don't know if they're agents or cult members, but anyways. And then he flies to the city to go catch up to Lois and whatnot. So I do like the ticking clock aspect that's brought in to the character. But yeah, a lot of fun action in this one.
Yeah. I think it does a good job at the start because it shows you a couple of kids taking photos of the super ship that he came in. And I think what's neat about it is that it establishes that the regular civilians in the city do really like Superman still. And it's not like it's necessary, but it's a nice touch because when they're in danger later and he's running around without powers trying to save them, it's like, oh, we know these people are innocent. As much as their ruler is a piece of shit and is up to no good in the neighborhood and all that stuff, like they clearly still love Superman. They're clearly innocent people. So you can get behind him pulling out the usual heroics. Lois spends a lot of time in the super ship. She basically calls it in to save her when she's under threat and ends up piloting it for a while. She grabs the super stone with the mechanical arm and goes flying away with it, and then we end up in the sky and all that, and that's when the sunstone falls and all the hell breaks loose. The big development here though is that immediately Kryptonite King's like, hey, this is still our country, this is our soil, this fortress belongs to me. And Lois tries to argue against that. He's like, hey, you snuck in here illegally. You're not supposed to be in my country. I can have you arrested and deported or whatever. So they kind of just have to accept that, as much as we stop Cobra from getting this, and like Fortress and the Sun Crystal, like this guy now has it, and also because of this conflict, he's probably not going to be welcome here again. And that probably means that Kryptonite King is going to sell kryptonite to worse people, and as we get at the end of the issue, he's going to use technology that this fortress tells him about in the archives of how to build advanced Kryptonian armor and stuff to possibly fight against Superman and other people that come knocking.
I like how complex of a villain he is, because I do feel like Castillo wants to do what's right by his people, and ultimately he doesn't have any real beef with Superman. Except that now that Superman's going to try to talk reason into him and stop them from making all their money, right, with the kryptonite. Try to be more cautious. So the fact, like, you see him like, oh yeah, Superman does want to do well, but then he effectively tries to kill Lois to keep her from talking, right? So he's not just like cut and dry mustache twirling villain, which I really appreciate.
I agree to a point. I think that like him trying to kill Lois and saying, "Oh, the ends justify the means here because this is for the people of my country, and like one death is worth that sacrifice." Blah 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 blah. I do think that comes off as super hokey, and like he's not developed enough, and like it doesn't feel like it doesn't have as much weight to it as it should to feel like, oh, this guy's willing to do something very dark because he really believes in his cause. He does just feel like a comic book villain who's like, yeah, I'll happily kill you to do what I'm doing here. It happens very late and quick to the point where even after the fact, he's like, you know, when they get outside and Superman even knows that he's tried to do this, and they kind of confront him about it, he just kind of shrugs it off and is like, yeah, well, I was doing only what I thought was necessary. And it just feels a little bit light to me, or a bit thin compared to like how dark that could feel, that he's willing to just do this at any point. Maybe he should have tried even harder to silence Lois after she tried to escape, like maybe make it feel like he's more desperate trying to get to her or something. But it feels like there's no consequence to everyone knowing that he tried to kill Lois. I guess that's what makes it feel too light to me, is that it feels like he just kind of shrugs it off when everyone finds out.
Well, and he's a, you know, as we know now, he's like, I don't feel he's a dictator exactly, but I feel like the it's there in the foundation for it to happen. Like now he has a kryptonite palace. He even sits on the throne, right? That's built. He goes, oh, this is a castle fit for a kryptonite king or whatever. But yeah, him just kind of hand waving what was necessary for him to do, especially in the year 2025 and things that are going on. I don't know. It just felt like, oh, this is what something like a person like him would do, because, you know, he can justify it in his own brain. Therefore, it's fine, even though to a rational person, absolutely not. It's like, no, you just tried to kill a journalist for covering what was going on, you know? So, but I do like the fact that he does threaten them with like, hey, Daily Planet's out of here. You guys aren't welcome here anymore. And tell Superman, you can get them out of here, or else they're going to be tied up in court, you know? So, you know, he definitely is, you know, those seeds are being sown that he's a much worse guy than we thought previously.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I get everything he's doing. Like, I understand, and it does make sense. It's more just like a compelling discovery that he's willing to do it, as opposed to just, oh, he just happens to be this way.
Yeah.
And there's not, you know, there's not much of a story to him being this. It's just kind of is. So yeah, there's some action as Superman and Lois as well in the ship, saving people as the Kryptonite fortress is kind of, well, I say Kryptonite, the Kryptonian fortress is coming up.
Yes.
That's it. It does look pretty green, so I don't know if that's just...
No, I think because it's El Caldero and most of the stuff there is Kryptonite, right? Like that's why it's coming up.
Yeah, but it's not though,
fortress.
Because we found out in last issue most of the buildings are just painted green.
Right. But no, nothing's painting the Kryptonian crystals, right?
Well, no, but
so right. So I'm from the
that doesn't answer the question I just asked, Matt. But go on.
Right. I just feel like because of the amount of kryptonite that is there already, that's why it's coming up as this screen.
Okay.
You know?
It's.
I don't think it's the full like the big meteor, but it's definitely taking some of those. You know.
I'm not mad about it. It's not a big deal, but I don't think it actually makes sense that it's green. It should be rock, right? Because we've seen that before, that when it comes up from ground, it should look like rock and grey and brown and all that, you know, whatever rock usually is, as opposed to the fortress in the, you know, the Antarctic, because it's, you know, it's ice and snow, so it comes up as ice. Anyway, regardless, you know, this all plays out. He's happy that he's got his fortress. I almost forgot for a second that Lois had to pretend not to know who Superman was in front of her employee, because like she's just kind of like, at one point Superman says Miss Slade, and I'm like, why does he say oh because this guy's sitting there, that's right, okay, fair enough. So that's there. Anyway, the issue ends with they're trying to figure out ways to deal with all this new kryptonite that's on the market and deal with all these weapons that villains are going to have. And the tease at the end is that John is going to go work at a compound in Smallville with John Henry and Lana, who are developing kryptonite resistance stuff, and he's going to be the guinea pig and test all of it. So I don't know how much the next issue is going to focus on that, if it's just going to be all about that, or if it's just going to be a subplot in the next issue. But either way, that's what they've set up for next time.
Like how Lois is like, I'll get my best guy on it, and then just ends up being her kid. You're like, wait, you're offering up your kid as a science experiment? That doesn't seem very maternal, you know? But
yeah, also,
I don't know, they gave me a chuckle.
Testing kryptonite resistance on a Kryptonian just sounds kind of like potential torture, because if it's not working, it's like, does this hurt? Yes, it feels like I'm dying. All right, back to the drawing board. We'll try again in 20 minutes.
Yep. And maybe it's because he's half human, it won't affect as much, right? Like, you know, he's only half as susceptible to it as his dad is.
I think that's what Lois is going to tell herself at his funeral. So, I thought he was half human, so it wouldn't have hurt him as much.
Also, John's been running around with the Suicide Squad, or the Secret Six, right? And I feel like this is a much better a much better use for him. He's like, running around with those guys, no thanks. I'll take kryptonite poisoning. You know. So, but yeah, I did like that because I've been wondering, not reading that Secret Six book. I've been wondering what John's been up to. So it was nice to see him pop up here at the end.
Yeah, I even remember he was in that book, to be honest. Like, that book's been... I mean, is that not already over? Because that was only a 6-issue mini, I think.
Yeah, it must be, because I don't see it. It's not being solicited anymore.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so this was an alright issue. I don't think I liked it quite as much as the last one, or even the last two, which I thought were very good. I think this is still pretty solid. I like the whole idea that there's another fortress inside this city. And, them dealing with this ongoing status quo of kryptonite being more freely available is still an interesting idea to explore. Plus, you get some good heroics with them saving people in the city. So, it's not as super interesting as the previous issues. And it's funny how we've not even mentioned the Cobra cult that much, because they basically get shoved to the side instantly at the start of this issue. It doesn't really matter that they were there.
Yeah. Well, I do love that the Cobra cult leader, they call him Lord Naga, which again, after hearing you talk about the Cobra cult in Batman and the Outsiders from the 80s, it's very funny that they're popping back up now. But basically it's like, oh, drop the holograms and stuff, and it was all very kind of cheesy in a way, so I'm glad it kind of got dealt with as fast as it did. And Superman, gets him out of there while he's all golded up. So,
yeah, will this be the last we see of the Cobra cult in this book? I mean, who can say? Time will tell, but yeah. Art is generally pretty good. I actually don't know if I noticed when it was Norton. I feel like it was mostly Albuquerque. Yeah. To my mind. I don't know. If,
me too.
I don't know if Norton was doing a really good job of mimicking his style or whatnot, but I don't think anything stuck out to me as being super different.
Seeing if they have a page breakdown. I'm thinking maybe the only thing that looks as different is the plane scene when Lois is talking to Ron. And they're in the plane and Superman's in his super ship.
So a couple of pages at the end, basically.
Yeah. And then also a lot of the Rebel stuff looks Albuquerque-esque, but not fully. So maybe that was it. So it was just maybe helping to, finish some pages in time. But I'm looking for the art breakdown, like a title page. Yeah, no, it doesn't have anybody listed. So, I mean, it has them listed, but nothing like a breakdown.
Yeah, it doesn't say page 1 to 5 or whatever. No. That's fine. So yeah, no, I mean, the action flows. It's like the Albuquerque excels at motion and giving us a sense of motion, and there's a lot of that in the action sequences in this issue with the layouts and whatnot. So that is what it is. I will say his faces inherently always look like they belong in a horror story, which is maybe a little bit unfit for Superman, but hey, whatever, it's Albuquerque. It's certainly not bad though. What are you giving Superman Unlimited issue 6?
I'm gonna give this a 7.5.
Oh, very nice. I think I'll just go with a 7 for this one. I still quite liked it. It was still a good book, but it just it wasn't sparking my imagination or excitement quite as much as the previous issues.